you're trying to do is hire people based on merit, right? Yes, sir. You could care less if they're libertarian, vegetarian, Democrat, Republican, as long as they can do the job. Yes, sir. Okay, all right. More people join the military now than any time in recent memory, right? Yes, sir. So, the situation described by Senator Murray is not being viewed by other Americans because they're signing up in droves. Senator, there's been a historic surge. You know why? Because they think you're a winner. They think you're going to lead. They think you're going to have their back. That's why they're signing up. Keep doing what you're doing. Now do you agree that the world kind of miscalculated Hitler in the 20s and 30s? Certainly did not understand the scope of the threat. Yes, like the guy wrote a book, I want to kill all the Jews, and nobody believed him. You remember that? General Kane, is that a fair statement that the military-industrial complex of the 20s and 30s really didn't miscalculate Hitler? Yes, sir. The danger of that is like 50 million people get killed. So let's don't do that. Now, as to Iran, they say they want to kill all the Jews. Do you agree with them? I believe they mean what they chant. Yes, Senator. Do you agree with that, General Kane? Lindsey Graham is back on the world stage with his favorite playbook: fear, war drums, and historical analogies. This time, he's comparing modern-day threats from Iran, Russia, and China to the rise of Hitler in the 1930s, because nothing says, let's escalate tensions, like evoking Nazi Germany. While he's busy painting the world in black and white battle lines, Graham also praises Secretary Hagel for hiring based on merit and credits him for a surge in military recruitment. Apparently, Americans are enlisting not just to serve, but because they see a winner in Hagel. But let's be honest, Graham's message on diplomacy isn't really about recruitment. It's about ramping up military budgets, stoking fear, and pretending diplomacy is weakness. So the question is, are we actually learning from history, or are we repeating it with louder sound bites? Sir, I think they've got some agendas for. Sure to, well, is that agenda to use a nuclear weapon against Israel? Sir, I think they would potentially, they had a nuclear weapon. Would they use it against Israel in your professional military judgment? Sir, I think they'd use it to pressure Israel. Well, I don't know whether they would use it. Well, is it 50/50ths, 60/40ths, 70/10ths? What is it? I don't know what the percent. Well, you can't be wrong, can you? What does Israel think? Sir, I think they think they would potentially. What do you think, Mr. Secretary? They had a nuclear weapon. Would they use it to wipe out Israel? I think Israel believes quite understandably. Do you believe that? That it is an existential threat. Hold on. And then in the hands of the wrong Iranian, a cleric or a radical that they would seek to. Well, is this a radical cleric that exists there today? Well, as of right now, if he's not, who the hell would be? So, I'm trying to get everybody to think. Let's don't do what we did in the 30s. They're going to use a nuclear weapon if they get it. Are they trying to build a nuclear weapon versus a peaceful nuclear power program? Mr. Secretary, have the Iranians been trying to build a nuke? There are plenty of indications that they have been moving their way towards something that would look a lot like a nuclear weapon. Does China intend to take Taiwan by force, if necessary? Lindsey Graham is once again playing nuclear roulette on Live TV, demanding that Secretary Hegseth cough up a percentage. Yes, a literal number on whether Putin will launch nukes in Israel. You can't make this stuff up. Graham's obsession with worst-case scenarios isn't strategy. It's panic theater. And it doesn't stop there. He pivots straight to Iran, asking if they'd nuke Israel the moment they got the bomb, invoking, you guessed it, the 1930s and Hitler. It's the same tired, fear-mongering playbook. paint every geopolitical threat as a ticking time bomb, and frame diplomacy as dangerous appeasement. But here's the thing. These aren't hypotheses for the show. Graham wants policies based on fear, not facts. And he's dragging us closer to conflict with every soundbite. So, are we analyzing threats or just fueling paranoia? We don't believe they've made that decision yet, but certainly, if you look at their exercises that they're performing in that area. General, do you think China is intent on taking Taiwan? Sir, I think it not to split hairs, but I think it depends on what you define take. I think take it over. I think if they could get them their way for sure. Do I think they're going to use military capability? Maybe. Not. Do we need to be prepared for that? Yes. Is Putin going to stop in Ukraine? I don't believe he is, sir. I think he'll go. What do you think? What do you think, Secretary? Is he going to stop? Remains to be seen, Senator. Well, he says he's not. You know, this is the 30s all over. It doesn't remain to be seen. He tells everybody around what he wants to do. Are you familiar with his military buildup in terms of armaments? It's well beyond what we need to do. To take Ukraine, listen, I think I like what you're doing. I just think we got to get this stuff right. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon because they'll use it. They're homicidal maniacs who are religious Nazis. Lindsey Graham is back at it, lacing his foreign policy tactics fear with a heavy dose of World War II analogies. This time he's going after Secretary Hegseth for daring to suggest that Putin's goals might extend beyond Ukraine. Because in Graham's world, ambiguity is weakness. He wants clear, aggressive declarations, not careful analysis. He doubles down. By dragging China into the mix, comparing Putin's invasion of Ukraine to China's potential moves on Taiwan. And of course, invoking the 1930s, because no Gramm speech is complete without a Hitler reference. Let's be real. Graham isn't offering strategy. He's offering a script, one built on panic, escalation, and zero room for nuance. He doesn't want diplomacy. He wants a prelude to war. So here's the question. Are we really confronting 21st century threats or just replaying a century-old narrative for cable news sound bites? China is an expansionist power who will take Taiwan if we don't deter them. Russia will dismember Ukraine and keep going if we don't stop them. Radical Islam. Are they still out there? General Kane. Sir, I think there are still, folks. That would do America harm. So, is ICE dead? No, sir. Is Al-Qaeda dead? Mostly. And dying more every day? Yeah. But are they still out there trying to get here? Yes, sir. To a certain. So, the threat of radical Islam is still real to the American people. Yes, sir. If allowed to scale. We work hard to not allow that to happen. And how you do that? You hit them over there before they come here. Right. So we have a variety of ways. As you know, it's better to have partners and do it by yourself. Always, sir. Yes, okay. So go over just a little bit. The point is radical Islam is out there. They're trying to get here. Mr. Secretary, if they had a nuclear weapon, would they use it? Would Al-Qaeda use a nuclear weapon if they had one? Senator, a nuclear weapon in the hands of Al-Qaeda would be a very bad thing. Is there a whole lot of difference between a nuclear weapon in the hands of Al-Qaeda and the Ayatollah in Iran? I don't think so. Senator Lindsey Graham is sounding the alarm again, but this time he's coming after Secretary Hegseth for what he sees as dangerous complacency. Graham's message is clear. Downplaying threats from Russia, China, or radical Islamic groups is not just naive, it's reckless. He is not here for nuance or wait and see diplomacy. He wants action, and he wants it now. To Graham, failing to treat these regimes and extremist groups as existential threats is like leaving the front door wide open during a storm. He's painting a picture of an America under siege, and he's furious that the administration doesn't seem to share his sense of urgency. But the question is, does Graham's version of proactive measures mean sound strategy or just more endless war? They just have a different religious reason to do it. The point is these budgets are important, but we need to up our game. We need to build more ships because China's building more ships. So we need to hit the enemy before they hit us. We need the ability to project. As to final thought, as to Russia, China buys and India buys 70% of Russia's oil. Mr. Secretary, are you familiar with that? Yes, sir. If they stop buying cheap Russian oil tomorrow, would that grind Putin's war machine to a halt? It's a vulnerability. Yes, sir. We have an ability through legislation to get China and India's attention. That if you keep buying cheap Russian oil to empower Putin to kill Ukrainian children, you're going